Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is Detox, the design podcast, and I am your host, Sanjay Reddy. Now, today is a very, very special episode because I have a really special guest today with us. Now, before we get into that conversation, I would like to talk about Indian handicrafts industry. Now, there are more than 7 million regional artisans in India who depend on their skills to make a living. Now, these craftsmen are so skilled that those kind of skills are not taught anywhere. It's either their family members who have taught them or their ancestors who have passed it on to them. There are also approximately 67,000 export houses in India which promote the regional art and craftsmanship in the domestic and the global level. But it is also true that these craftsmen are struggling during this pandemic. Now, I came across a bunch of designers who were actively involved with handicraft industry, the artisans who make lacquer toys. Now, I've got one of the contributors today with me on the podcast, and they have collectively called themselves the Indian Design Society. And they have a campaign which they're going to launch for the betterment of the craftsmen who make lacquer toys. Now, I wanted to know more about the Indian Design Society, and I wanted to know how they help these craftsmen. So now I have Faiza Qidwai with me today, and she's going to talk about Indian Design Society and what they're doing and how they're helping the artisans and what are the ways that you who are listeners who can contribute to this. Hi Faiza, how are you doing?
Hi Sanjay, thank you. I'm great.
How has your weekend been so far?
It was a lot to take in, but then yeah, I'm ready for today. So let's begin.
That's great. That's great. So, Faiza, I really wanted to ask you a few questions about the Indian Design Society because it was very interesting to me when I got to know about it. And I would like to know from you because you're one of the contributors there. So, I want to know what Indian Design Society is all about.
Okay, Sanjay, you see, the Indian Design Society, it is a non-profit design community in India, and it caters to the motive of, informing, educating, and inspiring a community. A community of creative thinkers who get together, and celebrate the creative communication and enhance the standards of excellence of design and craft industry around the world. So
Okay.
that's what Indian Design Society is about.
That's really interesting. That's very interesting. And how did this idea come to your minds? Like, how did you come up with this idea and how did you start all of this?
Okay, so that's really interesting
Mhm,
because the initiative began in February
mhm,
2020 by a group of young designers.
mhm.
So you see, the idea of beginning this was sparked when these designers, gazed the diminishing vision of design and craft sector in India,
Mhm.
particularly. And design, we have to understand that design is not a constraint to fashion.
Mhm.
We can see design in varied domains like art, architecture, transportation, technological design, and whatnot.
Yeah.
So design plays a medium to communicate the functionality and aesthetics. So
Okay.
the more it evolves with diverse creations, it becomes approachable and user friendly.
Mhm.
So design is where our tradition and culture has been revived.
Mhm.
So as the age old sayings also goes of our ancestors, it makes sense when it is brought back to life in the form of design. So the world now revolves around design and it defines the future. So this reason in particular is what made the society reachable for all creative thinkers, and that is what I find really interesting about it.
That's really amazing. And you mentioned craft industry of India, and there are a lot of people who depend on their crafts and to make a living. And I personally also work with craftsmen. I work with craftsmen who do inlay work on marbles, and I know how difficult it
Okay.
is for them to, earn
Yes,
make a living out of that craft. So it is very important. I think,
absolutely.
yeah. And the work that you're doing is amazing. That you are collaborating with those people and making more opportunities for them. So which is amazing. So
Thank
when
you.
you are working with those craftsmen, you know, so how do you connect them to people? Do you have any campaigns or something like that?
Yes, we do have a campaign by the name of Creative Welfare,
Okay.
which in itself is an initiative by our organization, the
Hmm.
Indian Design Society.
Hmm.
And the campaign, it particularly focuses on lacquer toy artisans.
Okay.
And as it is here that we need to bring betterment to the life of artisans
Uh-huh.
and resolve their problems, especially during, these perplexing times of pandemic.
Yeah.
So, artisans, they really do play a primary source for all the exquisite creations in the design stream.
Hmm.
And even initially we have to understand that even before the pandemic, they were somewhere, a section of society, where they have always been, really suppressed. Because I myself, I'm from Nift, and we have these cluster initiatives, and we've been to these clusters of lacquer toys, and we've seen in the conditions that these artisans work. And that is really what drove us to do something for their upliftment.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
And it is important to create awareness among the roots of the creation and then relish its exclusivity. And the campaign also gains its name as it sensitizes the state of existence of artisans, their need of an hour, and to emphasize how the Indian culture and tradition needs attention for the uplifting the hands of the craftsman. And the campaign, comes out with creative strategies to help the artisans through social media and crowdfunding, direct content marketing, and donation process with
Wow.
different ranges.
That's
Yes,
really
so
amazing. Really amazing.
yes, thank you. Like designers like us at the Indian Design Society,
Hmm.
have been trying to collaborate with NGOs like Haste Vikas Evam Sahitya Samu,
Okay.
and illustrators also, and also we've collaborated with a handmade gifting company called Gifting Happiness.
Okay.
So you'll see that the collaboration of these three will be, empathetic to the artisans to
Mm.
protect them and to
Mm.
preserve their creativity, probably.
It's a really amazing initiative that you have, that you are doing so much for the artisans, and especially for the lacquer toys, because you've said that you've actually seen them, how they work, and
Yes.
how what conditions are.
Firsthand,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So this is really
Yes.
amazing, and I'm really really glad that there are people out there like you and a society like this who is actively working for the artisans who are depending on their craft solely. So kudos to you guys. And how do you support yourself as a society financially? How does that happen?
See, we at Indian Design Society have a donation process,
Okay.
and I'll explain it to you. We have a set of ranges, a set of three ranges, in fact. And the first range, it starts from 1 rupee to 1,000 rupees.
Okay.
And the second range, it starts from 1,000 rupees to 5,000. And the range three, it starts from 5,000 and above.
Hmm.
And it's interesting, I'll explain in detail how these ranges work. Like the first range I was talking about, which starts from 1 rupee to 1,000. So, it will be like a normal donation. The donor will receive a thank you e-note along with a donation certificate and a receipt. Whereas the range two, which starts from 1,000 to 5,000, till 5,000, So in that range, that donor will have two options. Option A is that he or she can donate the amount between the said ranges without any product, or option B, where he or she can get a customized illustration which will be sent on their mails as well.
Okay.
So with the product of that illustration from Gifting Happiness, the gift making card I told you about previously,
Right.
Gifting Happiness, which it will be delivered to their addresses.
Okay.
And lastly, the range 3, which was from 5,000 and above, the donor will have two options.
Okay.
A, he or she can either donate the amount between the range without any product, or in return, the donor can receive a craft product from the NGO, which will be delivered directly to their addresses. So this is how we've been planning the process.
Okay, that's nice. And so, really looking forward to the creative welfare campaign that you just talked about. And I'm hoping that it is a big success for you guys and that you're able to generate more and more opportunities for these lacquer toys artisans. And I'm actually very, very happy that I'm bringing this out to more people, that they know about these
Yes.
things, that actually designers are so involved with the handicraft industry and all of these things. So this is really amazing. I'm really glad to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. And I would also like to add that we are also currently working with Milab as our funding platform. And we also wish that people would blend with this community and aid the craft world, so that craftsmanship gains its power to hold on the roots of our Indian culture and tradition. And India as a unique country, however, sounds incredible with these elements of artistry. The more people get along, they have collaborations, so this way we can protect the craft and its richness.
Now, that was all about Indian Design Society. And feel free to check out their website, which is www.indiandesignsociety.org, to know about their campaigns and a lot more details about them. Feel free to follow us on Instagram at the Detox the Design Podcast. We will continuously update the new episodes and all the fun things that are going to come up in the future. Thank you for listening to this episode. I'll see you in the next one.